that actually went like defending.
I think it's like
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. I hope you're all doing well and safe. Do me a favor, if you're not subscribed already, make sure you're subscribing. Everybody smash the like button, and of course, get the creative juices flowing. Any comments are welcome when the video premieres, or also leave a comment in the comment section. It boosts the YouTube algorithm. Now, allegedly, Odegaard's closer to signing a new deal. Saka's got a niggling injury. I haven't read this headline, and there's a couple of other bits and pieces to speak about. So let's do exactly that. Arsenal star Bukayo Saka has nagging injury after being rested for England win. Now, I'm sure that puts that makes your stomach drop, pause, and that makes you a bit shook, really and truly. You don't want to hear that with Bukayo Saka. But allegedly, Saka's been reportedly playing through a nagging injury since last season. It's been claimed the winger was a substitute for England's 3-1 victory over Scotland on Tuesday, and the reason why his minutes were managed has emerged. Now, with Saka, he plays week in, week out for club and country. Of course, I do think Arsenal fans over-exaggerate the need for rest. I think if the medical team, not saying they're necessarily right all the time and the fans aren't right, including myself, but, if Saka wants to be a big boy player and help Arsenal do what we want to do, the best players play week in, week out. That's the City players, that was Liverpool players, that was the Barca players, the Madrid players, any players that's achieved something really and truly. But it would be nice to see him get a rest and not come off the bench, definitely, where the game's kind of secured, really, when England were playing Scotland. And also, we'd love to be in a situation where he could be rested here and there for Arsenal Football Club. But we need the man going all the way down, people, because it's just talking about Scotland there, really and truly. According to the Daily Mail, Saka has been nagged by an Achilles problem since last season. The problem has caused him an issue since the previous campaign. And a lot of players play through injury, and this is, a lot of the time, this could explain why players aren't playing as well as they are necessarily or whatever, but I have to respect Saka. It has not prevented Saka from being in fine form over the last 2 years. He scored 15 goals in all comps during the 2022-23 season, helping Arsenal finish second. He has 2 strikes in 4 matches this term. Careful, people are saying he's not playing well, really. So it is what it is. So it seems like a precaution. It doesn't seem like it's anything new. And you hope he's able to play some part against Everton. And, next week, Arsenal will be re-emerging in the Champions League. And the games are coming thick and fast. So we're going to need everybody. He's going to have to deal with expectations of the media, with attention on the pitch. Arteta said at the end of last season, when you want to fulfill a role like the one he has at the moment, you need to be capable of doing that. So don't read too much. Don't listen too much. Just focus on what you have to do every day. That's it. The way he talks to people, how he behaves, how he treats people, that's because he has been raised like that. Big up his family, and I don't think Mikel Arteta is wrong in anything he said. Still has a lot of things to improve and a lot of things to maintain before he wasn't able to do that. So he needs to continue to maintain those things and elevate the level of other things that he can still do better. Okay, Gaffer, big up the Gaffer. Moving on with Martin Odegaard. There's rumours he'll be getting a new deal. There's rumours he's putting the final touches to it all over social media. For what it's worth, however, Martin Odegaard insists he wants to stay at Arsenal for a long time, but Gunners captain is coy on new contract negotiations as he nears the end of his 115K a week deal. Now, again, we can't let the 24-year-old leave. He's 24, which shows how long he's been around. Again, probably moved to Real Madrid too early, but at Sociedad and at Arsenal, he's now been provided with a platform to show his quality. And I think Martin Odegaard is one of the best pieces of business we've done. Again, when you look at our best players at Arsenal, with the exception of the Declan Rices, I would say Timber, even though he's only played 50 Premier League minutes, and a bunch of others, really, the best players basically didn't cost anything, especially in this day and age. Odegaard was 30-odd million. Saka's come through the academy. Martinelli's cost 6 million. Obviously, 27 million pounds or dollars for some of you lot, if it's in front of you, is a hell of a lot of money. But in the grand scheme of things, that's pennies to pay for Saliba. And for all the problems Arsenal have made historically, that Edu and Arteta are righting the wrongs, it shows when you do smart business, it is what it is. I'm sure Real Madrid, I don't think they miss Odegaard, but considering the fact that they let him go for 30 million with no buyback clause, probably a sell-on clause, probably kicking themselves because he should cost a lot of money. And I don't want any of these players to leave, but on top of Mikel Arteta developing these players that I've listed and others, and also Arsenal are now starting to tie down contracts and renew contracts and not get into those dramas. If the day comes that these players want to move on or play or were provided with offers we can't refuse, we're in a strong negotiating position, especially in today's day and age. You don't have to agree, but if Saka, Martinelli, William Saliba, Odegaard, these kind of players, if they're ever linked with moves away in the modern game, there's no reason why Arsenal can't get close or just over 100 million quid. Crapper players have gone for a lot less. And obviously, Martin Odegaard is Arteta's lieutenant. He's the captain. But for what it's worth, Martin Odegaard wants to remain at Arsenal for a long time, but declined to be drawn on negotiations over a new deal. You need to bring your fellow Norwegian Antonio Nusa to the football club, really. You know, he looks like a very talented winger at 18 years of age. But as we know, his deal runs until 2025. There are rumours he has a one-year extension. According to Romano, Arsenal are planning to offer the captain a multi-year extension. He's reiterated his desire to stay at the Emirates, but obviously, as it's probably a delicate time with contracts, he doesn't want to shed any light. I don't have to say too much, apart from the fact that I'm very happy at Arsenal and I hope I can be there for a long time. Music to my ears, and I'm sure a lot of you lot smashed the like button for Odegaard. Beyond that, I have no comment right now. Now it's the national team that is in focus. Fair enough, Martin Odegaard. What a player you've been. His time has flown, really. He's already made 110 appearances for Arsenal in all comps. As you know, he's the captain. He got 15 goals and 8 assists in 37 games last season. Once again, long may it continue. And again, people, you'd probably wonder where Odegaard's going to be in terms of the wage bill. He probably will be the highest earner or one of the highest earners. As you know, Saka's got a new deal. Ramsdale signed a new deal. Martinelli, Saliba have, and also Nketiah and Nelson, really. So if they can keep developing, they might be sold on for a profit if that time ever comes, people. Moving on with that, big up Martin Odegaard. Once again, Romano has said Arsenal keep working on Odegaard's new deal with optimism. That was a follow-up tweet in which on the 9th of September, he said Arsenal are planning to continue talks with Odegaard over a new long-term deal in the next week/months. Discussions ongoing. Odegaard could be the next top player to sign a new deal after Saliba, Gabriel, Saka, Ramsdale, Martinelli, and Nelson, people. There's also rumours, probably not as aggressive at this moment, that Benjamin White is in line for a new deal. I think we've seen this with Odegaard already, just making sure I didn't miss anything. As you know, Paul Pogba faces the prospect of a ban. Juventus were linked with Thomas Partey over the course of the summer, and Partey was linked with a move away, and currently, you know, he's not back in action for Arsenal. Allegedly, Juventus planned transfer raid on Arsenal for Thomas Partey if Pogba is hit with a lengthy ban. Now, I don't believe this because what Arsenal deem is the asking price and what Juventus are prepared to pay, probably two different things. In January, if you're made an offer you can't refuse, then fair enough, but we'll be in the middle of a season. Partey's a key player, whether he's playing right back or central midfield, and by God's grace, you know, everything will still be to play for Arsenal, where all competitions and fighting for a trophy is concerned. So I wouldn't justify letting Partey leave. I think it's just a case of Juventus having an admiration for Partey, being linked with him before, obviously the Paul Pogba stuff, and there's just been a bit of creative journalism. So we'll have to see. If anything, surely Partey would to leave this time next year, or better yet, this time next August, really, when the summer market's open. We have been linked with Diomande historically before he signed for Sporting Lisbon, and we've been linked with him once again. We've previously seen reports to say that we'll go back in for him. Arsenal face competition from 3 or 4 clubs in their bid to sign Sporting Lisbon defender Ousmane Diomande after Gunner's 30 million offer was turned down. Apparently, he's got a release clause of 69 million quid. He's only been at Sporting for a year or so they will make a handsome profit. He's 19 years of age, so he's got his best years in front of him. If Arteta wants more defensive options, then fair enough. But you would say, as an ignorant fan that doesn't have the football knowledge that Arteta has, or the squad planning skills that Arteta has, do we need another centre half? Maybe a multifunctional player. And again, I'm all for quality if he's got the ability, but surely you're only going to bring in a player that is going to disrupt the partnership, or our strongest defensive partnership, of Gabriel and Saliba in a healthy way, you know, because on the face of it, you've got Gabriel, you've got Saliba, you've got Benjamin White and Timber that can play over there. Tomiyasu can go over there, and you've got Kirill. So I don't know, you know, if Diomande, you had a good game against us at the Emirates, if he can play in multiple roles. But if Arteta deems that, fair enough. You know, again, if the better we have a stronger defensive squad, the better it is for Arsenal. But for what it's worth, and it's the only benefit would be Sporting Lisbon if it's a bidding war, Arsenal could reportedly face competition in their bid to sign Sporting Lisbon defender Ousmane Diomande in the January window. As you know, January, you know, if you want to pay, you're going to probably have to pay a bit more because you're inconveniencing Sporting Lisbon buying their players in the middle of the season. The Gunners had a £30 million offer rejected by the Portuguese club over the summer, with the centre-back's release clause set at around 69 million. It's anticipated Arsenal will return with an improved offer for the 19-year-old Ivory Coast international, people. Considering the amount of Ivorians that have played played in the Premier League and actually for Arsenal Football Club, you know, Pepe, Abue, Kolo Toure, you'd imagine Diomande could be like them and they, you know. According to Romano, 3 or 4 clubs are also monitoring Diomande's progress ahead of potential bids for him. Now, for Diomande, I think obviously us being in the Champions League, Mikel Arteta challenging for trophies, developing players, and obviously London and the prestige of Arsenal, there's many reasons to sign for the club. But regular football, I don't know what Arteta's plans is. Maybe he converts him into another defensive role. Maybe he plays him and Gabriel Saliba at peak for you. But on the face of it, are you going to play games? Now, if you take a step up away from Sporting Lisbon, you're going to have to take competition. It's a bit like when we was linked with Mark Gurhey. But if there's 3 or 4 clubs linked with you, and, you know, let's just say Man United were linked with you, for example, you know, would you rather go and fight for a shot away from the club and what Arteta is doing, just in terms of the ranks? Would you back yourself to get game time with Rafael Varane, who's picked up a couple of knocks, Lisandro Martinez, who picks up knocks, who are 2 good centre-halves, and then you've got, obviously, Lindelof and Maguire? Would you rather fight them, or would you fight Gabriel, Saliba, Benjamin White, Timber if he's fit, Tomiyasu potentially, and Kirill? I'm not too sure where you're at. What we do know is apparently Sporting Lisbon have him under contract until 2027. Arsenal tried to buy him last summer, and apparently we tried to buy him when he moved to Sporting Lisbon, people. So clearly he's taking the right steps in his development, people. He joined them back in last January from Danish club Michelin, having spent time on loan in the Portuguese second division. Maybe that's where Sporting Lisbon ran the rule over him. He's made 21 appearances, scoring 1 goal, people, and he's for them, and he's recently made his Ivory Coast debut once again, people. Arsenal considered signing central defensive cover after summer arrival Timber suffered an ACL injury, ruling him out for several months. Arteta can already call upon the likes of Saliba, Gabriel, Kirill, while Benjamin White is also capable of playing there. Bit harsh. You've got Tomiyasu as well. And as you know, we sold Rob Holding. So maybe if he's accepting of replacing Rob Holding in terms of his role and trying to, you know, take his time and fight for an Arsenal regular spot, fair enough. But it don't really make sense necessarily. But bring him if he's there. ESPN have been talking about Pepe, really and truly. Let's scroll all the way down. I thought it was quite an interesting read, really and truly. In a sense of ESPN reported in August 2020, that deal in relation to Pepe was scrutinized internally as part of a review of the club's decision-making processes, which led to cost-cutting measures. Although the club denied any formal investigation, head of football Raul Sanllehi left later that month with no official explanation given. As you know, Sanllehi was a key figure at Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. We all know Zaha was preferred over Nicolas Pepe. Apparently, Pepe is seen to have been a bit cliquey at Arsenal. Some questioned his commitment too in relation to Pepe. Sources have told ESPN that Pepe spent a lot of time with Lacazette and Aubameyang. I mean, they're similar ages, they're French, they're a football team. Of course, there's going to be cliques, you know, even in a positive way at Arsenal. You don't think the Brazilians, obviously everybody chills with everyone, but you don't think the English boys have their own clique. The Brazilian, or better yet, Portuguese speakers have their little own clique. There's a couple of floaters, people that are cool with everyone. And there's probably a bit of loners, really, like in any friendship group or any working environment, people. So I do think they're doing him a bit dirty, but historically, you know, we did have to get rid of this kind of guard to form a new sort of thing what Arteta is doing. Arteta increasingly believed was stifling the club's, or better yet, squad's progress. As you know, Aubameyang lost his captaincy. Lacazette left on a free transfer. Sources suggest Pepe gained a reputation for rarely being one of the first on the training pitch, often hanging back with Lacazette and Aubameyang as the squad made their way out from the changing room. He was often seen to neglect acknowledging staff around the training ground who weren't closely connected to the first team operations. You don't want to hear that. By his own admission, Pepe had problems with authority growing up. We all know he did it. We've seen this story, how he once shouted at a coach, you know, again, and he didn't want to cut his hair back in his academy days in France. Many young players go through such learning experiences, and in his defense, there were certainly signs at Arsenal that Pepe had grown up. He was not an aggressively coercive figure or a mole Arteta sought to identify after news of the training ground bust-up involving Dani Ceballos and David Luiz was leaked to the media. In fact, when Pepe's partner gave birth to a baby boy in February last year, he told Arteta that despite missing training as a result, he still wanted to be considered for selection in their next Premier League match against Wolves because the squad was short of attacking options. Pepe came off the bench to score one and make another as Arsenal came back from behind in a 2-1 win. Arteta once said, "I see a different Nico. His energy, his happiness, his all-round play, how he's training." I mean, it didn't last long, but there you have it. And apparently he took a 25% pay cut to join Nice on loan last summer, people, which had to have happened. And as we know, Pepe's gone to rebuild his career in Turkey. So we wish Pepe all the best in that regard. Once again, Romano on Thomas Partey said the Paul Pogba situation means we're again seeing rumours about Partey and Juventus, but there was no chance this summer. He was on Juventus's list, but it was impossible for them to pay 45 to 50 million euros. Arsenal also didn't want to sell him after considering this possibility just at the beginning of the window. It's very quiet now despite these new links, and Thomas is focused on Arsenal. So there you have it, people. In relation to everything we've discussed, let me know your thoughts on Saka's alleged sort of injury knot. Let me know your thoughts on Pepe. Would you sell Partey in January? Would you sell him next summer? Would you actually keep him? And everything else we've discussed. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe if you haven't done that already. Most importantly, people, stay blessed, stay safe, and we'll link up again soon. Check out the rest of the content because there's a bunch of collabs to come online on my channel.
There's always just that active red line defending.